Hi there. Yes, it's me again. Well, I haven't done a look at any Transformers for ages. Haven't had a lot of time. I've had time to play the guitar, obviously, because I like doing that. But the Transformer reviews, I'm afraid, I've taken a back seat to it. But, because I can't work today, because it is raining, bearing in mind we have a drought in this country at the moment, I never knew you could get so wet and things could be so flooded when you've got a drought. But there you go, that's the magic of being in a crap hole country. Anyway, Transformer review. Now, somebody said could I do some of my old reviews that had the audio removed? Well, you know what? I think I can, actually. And I'm going to concentrate on the Dinobots. Yes, everybody likes the Dinobots. And I thought we'd just take a look at all 5. And you know, why the hell not? So this may go on a bit. So the best thing you can do is, if there's any particular Dinobots, you can just skip ahead to the ones that you want to hear about. Do you think I should start? Yeah, alright. They're in a box at the moment, actually, because it was a lot more convenient for me to just put them in a box and then take them out. I should do these in order, and I should start with Grimlock, actually, because he's the one that I think most people have got. Hi, this is what you get for doing an unscripted version of this Transform review. Sometimes I actually put a little bit of thought into what I do, like the game reviews, but this isn't working. This would be like the 10th, 15th try I've had at trying to introduce Grimlock to you and fluffing it up. Could have so said something else then. Look, Grimlock, I think most people have got him, and if you don't, I have, so I really don't care. I could go around your house checking though, couldn't I, everybody? But there we go, so it's Grimlock. Yes, and in the cartoons he's portrayed as an idiot. He speaks like an idiot and he acts like an idiot. Where in the comic books he actually speaks like an idiot, but he's not. God, it's taken me about, yeah, forget it. So yeah, Grimlock, he's not portrayed quite the same way in the comic books as he is in the cartoon show. In actual fact, he's really, really good in the comic book run. In the cartoon, he's almost like comic relief along with all the other Dinobots. But by the by, Grimlock, you know, most people know him. Well, not personally anyway, because he's quite small and he just come out of a box. Anyway, should we take a look at the toy? The characterization, I don't really want to get bogged down with that today, and I'm trying to just keep it as brief as I can. He has a few little faults, doesn't he? I.e., he is very back heavy, and you know, with the old toys, you know, a little bit of, you know, to balance him off there, because nowadays you'd have something that folds out probably to balance him, but no, we don't in the old toys, so tough luck, Grimlock. You're going to be landing on your back most of the time, mate, unless you're leaning up against a wall. And the other thing, which is probably everybody knows, his head sits far too far back. Get out the way. See, there, look. Like that, but you know, you don't want to, hurts. Yeah, his head is far too back. His head should not be there, his head should be there. You know, it would have been nice if they had a slide, so you could just slide the head forwards. That would have made some sense. But remember, this is a Diaclone toy, so we do have the obligatory cockpit for said pilot to sit in. Actually, I'll just have another look at that. Yeah, that's a pretty good cockpit. He's got a seat and everything, you know. He's probably got aircon, you know. He's got the whole works there. It's a bit close to his arse. Let's not go there. Another problem with Grimlocks is these hands are often broken off. Obviously, as kids, you will try to move them, and they don't actually move, and you'll just take them off. Yeah, problem solved. They don't move, we've just removed them. Kids are good at that. I didn't actually have Grimlock as a kid, so I didn't have that problem. And this is another problem with old Grimlock. It's just sort of like, I can't even try to simulate that, because you can't do that, you know. It's very painful, I dare say, but you know, rather him than me. Now, as you know, all Dinobots have a small amount of metal. Some of them have a lot, and some of them don't. Grimlock is a bit cheap on the old metal department. It's just his pants here and his waist. He has red metal pants. That's very interesting. All in all, I really like Grimlock. He's got the proper size hands. I love the chrome work on it. I love the Dino mode. Always have. I love the mouth. He's pretty show accurate, actually. Out of a lot of toys, out of the original Transformers, they weren't always that great. But Grimlock's the exception. He's a great little toy. And I just think he's super. And, you know, I'm not really going to have too many negative things to say against the Dinobots. I think everybody likes them. And Grimlock is a great toy. And his face is pretty show accurate too. Unlike, you know, a lot of toys. So, Grimlock, solid toy, quite nice, just a bit back heavy. I won't hold it against him. Right, which one should we go to? Got to be Slag. Everybody's Transform with the greatest name ever is Slag, isn't it? Probably couldn't get away with that nowadays. What would you call it? I don't know. Skank? I'm not quite sure. Let's not go there anyway. I didn't like Slag. He's an arrogant sod, isn't he? And to be honest with you, I don't like his toy. Out of all the Dinobots, I think he's probably the weakest one. I mean, character and toy-wise, I don't mean physically. I don't know how strong he is, you know, because he's a toy. I don't know. Problems with Slag. Right, these are often either chewed or broken. Yeah, as a kid, yes, you do chew things. I used to chew, well, it's a little secret. And my sister used to have Barbies and stuff, so I used to chew the feet of them. Don't ask me why. Now, there's something you didn't know. You might not want to know. You might try and forget that. But yes, I used to chew the feet. Well, it'd be you know, chewing these, whatever they are, little horns on his dino mode, which looks quite cool. I like his dino mode, I don't like his robot mode. Anyway, where was I going with this? Yeah, so they're often chewed. His head moulding is a little bit flat, as you can see, and, you know, it's not really a head, it's sort of like a base plate, which, you know, it's alright. I understand limitations back there, but it doesn't look particularly great. It's not a great head moulding. These legs are always wobbly as hell, and you have to be careful when you're looking for him, because there's two things that always snap. The tail, for one. I'll tell you for why, because you have to try and manipulate the legs. This is probably the best angle you're going to get. This is wrong. Anyway, so you have to try and manipulate the legs like that whilst trying to get the tail over. It's not easy, but you can do it. But as a kid, you are impatient. You will not spend time transforming. You will force this and snap it right off. Because I had a mate who did that, and he was in a hurry to transform it because we were playing with the Dinobots, and he quickly transformed it and removed his tail. Yes, so not a good, and the legs do tend to wobble a bit. I'm afraid they just wear out. There isn't being much of a joint here to hold them, so they just wear really badly. So he ends up doing that all the time. It's great if he's flying, but if you're trying to stand him up, it's not going to work. Now, he has the small hand syndrome, which a few of the Dinobots do have, and that, it just looks wrong with little hands, and you should have a big hand. He's a Dinobot, so that looks wrong. And, you know, other than that, not a great deal to say about him. I like his alt mode. Now, he has a rather large amount of metal, which is here, so all his chest and everything, and that's quite nice. I mean, that's good. Now, I think his cockpit, if I recall, is at the front here, which is quite nice, transformational, elaborate bit. So it's a bit like the Ultra Magnus bit where you take the Matrix, it sort of like folds up and opens down, and it's quite nice. But since I don't have any Diaclone chappies to ride inside, it's pointless and there's no real need in it. But as I said, it's not a real Transformer, it's a Diaclone toy. Okay, Slag. Great name, not so great toy. Right, who should we go for next? You know what? It's going to have to be Sludge, isn't it? Because these were the first 3 Dinobots introduced in the cartoon, so I thought I'd do it that way round. Does that make sense to you? I don't really care if it doesn't. It makes sense to me. A lot of things don't, though. We won't go there. Here he is. Now, interesting story about him and Snarl is that I really wanted this one because I like the Dino mode. I probably told you this before, but I'm going to tell you again for repetition, so you don't forget what my story, because I quite like it. And I was bought Snarl, and I didn't really want Snarl, and I pretended he was broken, so we took him back to Woolworths, and they didn't have any more Snarls, so I picked Sludge instead, which is the one I really wanted in the first place. But as I've got older, I actually think I prefer Snarl. There we go. There is no irony there, it's just being a kid. Take what you will. Right, here he is. Now, he has many problems, i.e. his legs. I suppose they were tight when they were new, I can't really remember, but you know, man, look, his legs do not get much looser than that. I mean, they're like they're held together by string. Look at that. Whoa, I wish I could dance like that. Man, that looks painful. I love his alt mode. I just point out the faults that usually happen, other than the fact he is unbelievably loose. The head jaw snapped right off my one. This is not the original one. This is 2 put together. You know, I brought one off eBay and had bits missing. I had my original one. We put them together and make one that's worth having. So that will break. So look out for that. And these, I call them wings. I know they're not wings, they're part of his alt mode, but they tend to be quite weak and snap along here. Because when you're transforming, yet again, if you're not careful, I'll show you what I mean. Just here, there's those little raised bits of plastic. No, the camera's picking it up. You can just see it there. Now, if you don't get it quite right, it catches on this when it folds. And if you're a kid, you're yet again impatient, and you will force it round, and it will snap off. So you have to be careful. And his tail, for some reason, the light ends of the tail are missing on him, and I don't know why. Sludge, isn't it? I was going to call him Snarl then for a minute, you probably noticed that, but yeah, I admit to it, I was going to call him the wrong name. But yeah, they often snap off the end. I am not 100% certain how it happens. Now, this is how I used to display him, because it makes him taller, but the actual way you transform him is you have to fold the legs up and do that. Now, it gives him big thunder thighs, and it makes him shorter, and I think he looks a bit daft, like that. It makes him less wobbly, but don't you think it looks better with his legs actually outstretched? Because that's how I display it. Makes him a bit taller then. Well, I think that's better. And he doesn't have tiny hand syndrome either. He's got the proper size hands. And his little cockpit here, it's all well and good. Not quite as elaborate as Slag's, but it's alright. It looks quite comfortable in there. I wouldn't want to go in there though. So here we have, and his head is not meant to move, but because I kept doing this as a kid, because this is the original one, I kept twisting it left and right, left and right. Now he can sort of like do a little shuffle. Look. That's it. His head isn't meant. It could have made the head move. Would it have cost so much money to make the head move? Well, no, maybe not. He has one of the best detailed bases, though. I mean, come on. Work of art. I think that's brilliant. And as a character, he's dumb. He's one of the dumbest Dinobots there is. I think he's even more stupid than Snarl. He's like a moronic retard, vacuous existence with a hollow head. Yeah, but I still like him. And he has a nice bit of metal there in red. I love the red metal on all of them. So there we go. Sludge. Now, let's get on to the 2 later editions, shall we? You guys still there? Hello? You listening? I have reservations that there is nobody out there. I shall carry on, regardless. Alright, Snarl. Okay, Snarl's a great one. Look at the amount of metal on here. Look at that. Now, that's die-cast perfection. I mean, how much die-cast metal has this guy got? He's so heavy at the top, it's unbelievable. Puts Pamela Anderson to shame. I mean, this guy's really got it going on up here. I think this is brilliant. I mean, he's probably the best Dinobot, if truth be told. He's got all the chrome on the back here, and it's gold chrome, not that crappy silver stuff. We got gold chrome with all that metal. I mean, he is essentially a work of art. You wouldn't get toys like this anymore. No, not at all. Right, down to business. One of his faults. That will not stay in situ. It's just no way. And there's supposed to be a gap there to click it in, but it doesn't ever quite fit. Possibly due to age, or possibly due to my incompetence, but it never seems to quite fit right. Anyway, and another common problem with him is these bits here, they're just loose. Then they are often broken. Now, when you're looking on eBay, he'll be transforming alt mode, and this will be displayed like this with this in situ because it clips, and they'll go, yeah, he's 100%, he's fully transformable. Then you get him out, and I'll transform. Oh, it's come off because it's not attached anymore. Be careful when you buy these ones that is not broken. It's very common on it. Obviously, as kids, we won't need to go down that route. We know what I'm going to say. You break it because you're impatient. I love the little bit of detail in there. I don't know if that's picking it up. I mean, that is everything about this toy, you know, reeks of quality. It's not usually a word I associate with Hasbro, but on this is an exception. He's brilliant. Yet again, like Snarl, a superbly detailed head moulding. A little bit small on the old head size there. I can understand it, limitations of transformation. I think, though, to be honest with you, they could have got away with making it just a tad larger, just a little bit. Might have made the difference between it looking a little bit too small. But, you know, I'm sure there was a joke there. Shut up. And, yes, it could turn, but it doesn't, unfortunately. But all things aside, I really like Snarl. He's definitely a great Dinobot. Now, character-wise, he's a bit stupid as well, like Sludge. He really hasn't got a lot going up there. But having said that, I think he's one of the nicer Dinobots. The other Dinobots can tend to be, to be a bit shirty, a bit short-tempered. I think he's probably one of the more placid ones and probably more amiable and friendly. And he's got small fist syndrome. I mean, that's my only reservation on it. This just doesn't look right with Dinobots. And his little counterpart cockpit there, well, he's got a lot of room in there. Like, you could get a fridge in there, maybe a microwave, TV. I mean, he's probably got the most room. That guy who pilots him, who doesn't exist. There we go. That's Snarl. Look, be honest with you. If you're going to get one of these Dinobots and you haven't got any at all, and I know everybody wants Grimlock, and, I've got to say, I'd get Snarl myself. Right, now on to the last one. Now, this one's a real bugbear. I'll tell you for why. Because he's not released in the UK. Ever. I don't understand. I don't need to shout Hasbro. I don't need to get worked up about it. We don't even need to talk about Michael Bay this time, so that's a plus. Swoop. Now, Swoop is he's hard to come by here. Obviously, I can't speak from being in the States. I only visited, so I don't know. And I wasn't around in the 80s to see if he was released widely. I'm guessing he was because there's a lot on eBay. Now, Swoop has quite a few major little problems here. Mainly his beak. Now, my beak on his one, I brought him with a broken beak. And I've glued it back on. I daren't move it again lest it break off, which it probably will. So we won't try and transform him today. He's very small. He's obviously the smallest of the Dinobots, but that makes sense because he flies, so he would have to be slightly smaller. Am I thinking too much into this? Let me think. Now that's thinking twice. I'm not going to do that. So yes, he's slightly smaller. He's got a lovely bit of chromed wings, and he has a lovely wingspan, and he looks great in both modes actually, because I like to leave him sitting. When I display them, I have all the other Dinobots in robot mode, but Swoop I keep in Dino mode because I just think he looks quite cool. And he stands up, when he's face on with his beak forwards, and he looks great with them. I don't know why, he looks great posed with them in robot mode and him in Dino mode. And I think that's how everybody should display it. So there. Now, he has kind of short arms, but unlike Astro Train, where his arms just pull out the side and nothing happens, they pull down a little bit so that they balance off a little bit better. Now, I know there was a prototype of Astro Train where they did actually do that, but because of costs they didn't bother, but thankfully they kept it up with Swoop. Now, I've got to be honest, I don't think he has a cockpit for anybody to ride in. Let me just double check this now. I'm thinking of, no, he can't sit in the beak because that would be a pointless exercise, sitting in the beak. And there's nowhere on the, he has no cockpit. I assume then that he is remote controlled or something, because there's no cockpit for. Never mind. It doesn't matter because said pilot wouldn't exist anyway, because he's out of the Transformer universe now and not the Diaclone. His head's a bit disappointing, not only because of the lack of detail. I mean, there isn't really any. Now, he has another problem, that his legs are really wobbly like this, so you'll get one like me and he'll just do that all day long. Even when you're not moving him, he just does this by himself. I don't know why, it's just something he likes to do. Now, all the weapons, I'm afraid, I haven't used them for you to look at, but he should have 2 weapons either side here. They're all in a box, and I can't be bothered to fudge out which one goes with which Dinobot. I'll get round to it eventually, but for the time being, you know that he's missing his 2 missile launchers on the side. They do balance him off nicely, but I will say that these sockets here, the joint where you push them in, always wear. I don't know if it's because of the plastic, but you will find that they will just fall out all the time, so you have to wedge them in or use some blue tack. Can I call it blue tack anymore? Or is it white tack? Is it still called blue tack? One has to wonder and ask these questions, doesn't one? No? Okay. So, yeah, that's it, Swoop. If you can get hold of him, do. He's a great little toy. And in fact, all the Dinobots are great. So, that's just a quick look at all the Dinobots. So I've got to say on Swoop's character-wise, he's quite nice as well. He helps out Spike in one of the episodes, and he seems to be the most reasonable. He doesn't have any balance off at the back again, but he doesn't stand too badly, providing this isn't too worn. But he usually ends up leaning, and I said he stands in Dino mode as opposed to robot mode. What was I thinking? Something else then. So there you go. That is a quick look at the Dinobots. Hope that was appreciated and there's some help there. Not that I'm preaching to the converted. You probably already got all the Dinobots anyway, but I just thought I'd give you a brief rundown of them all, because my original reviews thankfully have all the audio removed. I wish they'd removed the video entirely. Unfortunately, that's there to haunt me. Sword of Damocles hanging above my head with these shitty old videos I did, coming back to haunt. But never mind. There we go. That's just a quick look at the Dinobots, and I'll see you guys later. Take care.